and the guy came back and says, listen, he says, I loved your story. My wife absolutely hates it.
Let me tell you a little bit about today's Fiendish mind. He started writing short horror stories a few years ago and quickly found his work alongside some huge names in dark fiction. He invited authors to submit work for some anthologies he wanted to edit, and he began a journey that would see him release a string of Amazon bestsellers. I'm talking hit after hit. This episode's full of tips for those trying to break into horror writing, and it's a kick up the arse for writers like me who need to get more work out there. He's a great bloke. I love chatting with him. I'm Jack Rollins, and today's Fiendish Mind is Kevin J. Kennedy. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Jack, my friend. How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Brilliant.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to just dive straight in, if that's all right, mate.
Sounds good.
I think we should probably start with when you got started, I guess. Start at the beginning. When did you start writing? When did you get serious about it?
I wrote my first story, I think, about 2015. Must have been either that or the end of 2014, so it was just over 5 years ago. And I'd just seen I was in loads of book groups on Facebook to sort of keep up with what was coming out. I read a lot. And I seen an advert and it says it was an anthology looking for short stories. It says you didn't need to be published before. I thought, well, I'll sit and I'll write something and I'll send that in and see how it goes. And I expected a rejection, but I thought, why not? I had a bit of time. So I sat on the floor and I typed out a story and I sent it away. Didn't edit it or anything, just wrote it, sent it. That was it. And it got picked up and it was All You Card Press. And the guy that runs it came back and asked me if I would write a second story. He wanted 2 stories for everybody in the book. That was how he was setting it up.
Oh, see, that's encouraging.
I went back. I said, "Well, listen." I says, "I don't really write." So I says, "I'll try something else. I'll send it to you." And the second story I wrote in loads of Scottish slang. I really like Irvin Welsh books. I don't know if you've ever read Irvin Welsh, and there's loads of slang, and I think people persevere and they get used to it, and then they can understand it. And I thought, well, I'll try that. So I put loads of slang in, and the guy came back and says, "Listen," he says, "I loved your story." I'm sure he says he had been in Scotland for a few years. And he says, but my wife absolutely hates it. I think they sort of run the company together. But he published it anyway. And I just started looking online for other open calls, just Googling, horror anthology, short stories, different Google searches. And when I came across one, if it was something that I had a wee idea for, I tried to stick to really short stories and I just started sending them away. And I must have done that for about a year. And I got into quite a few books over the year. And I just at one point decided to try and sort of put my own book together, and that was when the first Christmas anthology that I'd done was put together, and it just kind of kept going and going. I've never really stopped.
Yeah. Where do you get your inspirations for your short stories?
I think for quite a while, especially at the start, it was looking for a book that piqued my interest. So there's certain, obviously, if you like horror, you've got favourite types of horror, and I quite like the post-apocalyptic horror, and and I liked cannibal horror. I used to love the House of Eyes movies and stuff like that. So I looked for books that were kind of looking for stories that I liked, like watching, and things that I've watched tons of times. And you've got your own wee ideas over the years and wee spins and how you'd have maybe done it different, or what you'd have liked to have seen happen in a movie, or stuff like that. So, and that's what you write. You write what you would have enjoyed seeing or reading. As I say, I read a lot, but it was always novels I read. I didn't read a lot of short stories, funnily enough. But I would just get wee ideas for seeing a themed anthology. And then after that, a lot of the anthologies I'd done at first, they had seasonal themes. So I would just try and do a wee different spin in anything that I'd seen for that season kind of thing. These days, as I say, I struggle to find the time to write. So I'm trying. I think Kyle M. Scott had mentioned that we were writing an anthology together. I'm writing a few anthologies, but they obviously take a lot longer than the short stories, and especially
Yeah.
just co-writing the back and forth. So I think as I spoke to you about before, I like nostalgic stuff. So there's always things that I'll see something for the late 80s or early 90s, and a wee idea will spark as well, and I'll write something that takes me back.
Yeah, that's good. I think the winner with that is it'll probably take the readers back as well. There'll be some readers who it sparks that same notion inside them, do you think?
I wrote a story. I'm sure I called it Book Magic, and it was basically a guy that sort of loved books the way a lot of us do, and a lot of us on the same Facebook pages, and obviously a lot of people are collectors of books. They buy more books than they could ever read in a lifetime, and different things like that. And so it's a wee guy that loves books. The story goes for there, and then it goes to a kind of body horror sort of element of what happens to him through his love of books. But at the start of it, I started out by talking about the old book clubs you used to get in the school. You could give the teacher 10, 20, 50 pence, you'd save it up. Eventually you'd get a colour sort of 2 or 4 page brochure out with all the books that were going to be available. And then at the end of the month or the quarter or whatever, they'd roll in these bookcases and wheels with hundreds of new books.
I remember, was it the Scholastic Book Tour or something like that?
I can't remember what it was called.
The big fold-out cases.
I loved it, and a lot of kids didn't read. I did read, and they would bring point horror books and things like that. And obviously, that was my sort of started to reading horror, and I used to love that. So I wrote a lot of that into the story because I was thinking about it a lot at that point, and then a few other people have messaged me to say I used to get that. They used to come to my school, things like that. So as I say, wee bits and stories take you back, and I like to put wee nods in, and sometimes nods to other stories that I've liked. Just a wee thing. Like I wrote a Layman tribute story, so there was wee nods to some different Layman books. He's my favourite author, so it was a lot of fun putting wee nods into his work.
Very good. And do you see yourself firmly fixed as a horror writer, or do you get any inklings to go into different genres?
I'd say I write mainly horror, and obviously there's some genres are funny. There's a bit of crossover. Like I think the book I wrote with Christina Bergland, and Screechers, that's probably more sci-fi than horror, but we kind of probably wrote it from a horror perspective. But the whole post-apocalyptic future setting's quite sci-fi, and I quite like a lot of my stories that probably there may be no horror or really dark crime, but like as I said, I like Irving Welsh, but he's always got tragic characters, and they're always get the worst lives ever, and it's all of them, and they're just and it's really, really dark. So they're no horror books, but to me, if you were living that life, it'd be horrific, So I like stories like that, and kind of I've always watched a lot of crime movies like Goodfellas and Casino, and I like all that kind of stuff. So there's quite a lot of crime in a lot of my stories. And it's the people that are really the horror, rather than having a monster or a supernatural twist or something along the lines. But I just, as I say, write whatever comes to me. I think a lot of the time it seems to be that I've got loads of ideas, and then when I get a bit of time to write, my mind goes blank. I'm terrible at taking notes. I need to have the idea when I've got free time, and then I can sit and just write. And that's just all my favourite stories are ones that I've done over, a day or 2 or 3, and just kept writing. Whereas other ones that I've maybe went back to or took a bit of time because I'm jumping back and forward and do things in between, they never seem to turn out as well. I like to just get the idea and get it out.
Yeah, and do you bash it straight into the keyboard, or do you like to write longhand onto paper, or
no,
how do you like to work?
I just type. I always type. As I say, I struggle to read my own writing, to be honest with you. If I write it down in a notepad, like my writing's appalling. So no, I just type it up, and then obviously a first draft, and I'll go back through it. But I like to get the full first draft out sort of quite quickly while the idea's fresh, and then, as I say, I can always go back and change bits and tweak bits and cut bits out and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good practice. I think I have too many projects where I let it stall, and like you say, that the idea is no longer fresh. You've written it in your mind instead of sitting at the keyboard and doing it. So when you come back to it, you're like, it doesn't have that exciting sort of.
That was the thing when I tried taking notes for a wee while, writing notes down, and when I went back, the note wasn't as exciting as the idea, and you've probably forgot parts of it and what initially sparked interest. As I say, sometimes it can be, it can be anything really, but it's just a wee 2 seconds and you get a good idea. But as you say, you're not as passionate when you go back to it.
And I think as well, that's all very good as long as you're getting the time to sit and write the thing, and you've got the time to get the whole thing out. But sometimes it's just not always possible, is it? Life
I
gets in the way,
think
really.
for myself, I've probably never found the right balance. Like I don't know many times I've actually typed into the foreword there or the afterword of an anthology that I'm going to take a break from anthologies for a wee while. And the plan is to write more. It's not to take a break from the book world. It's just that I would like to have more and more stuff out there. And often when I'm coming to the end of putting an anthology together, the thing that's missing is my story, because I've not had time to write my story for it. And often it was my story that gave me the idea for the books. Sometimes, you know, it's difficult. So I do probably need to stop with them. But they've always went quite well. And I like, you know, I like reading all the short stories that get sent to me. I think like most people, I don't love the process of sitting formatting a document and uploading it all to Amazon. That's pretty boring. But I love getting the finished product, the paperback, through to hold it in my hand and flip through it. And it's a wee bit sort of addictive. So I've kept putting them out for I started, and I've never really took a break for it. So every time I'm getting close to having some free time, I end up starting another anthology. So I just probably need to relax a wee bit with that if I'm going to finish up the writing projects, which is my current plan. I've got 2 anthologies in the process, and when they're done, I'm hoping to just be only writing and finish all the projects I'm in the middle of, but we'll see how it goes.
Until the next idea hits you for another anthology.
Aye, that's that. But you know what? I've said to my wife and that as well, that it's not like I'm wasting my time. I love the anthologies, and I'm happy when the finished product comes through. And as I say, I would like to write more. But if I end up sitting as an 80-year-old man and I've put 200 anthologies together that I'm pretty happy with, then I'll not be complaining.
No, definitely not. And you have got the golden touch when it comes to the anthologies, haven't you?
I've been lucky.
The horror collection, that's not luck, that's
I've
skill.
been really lucky. I mean, my first anthology, I'll tell you, as I said, I'd been sending stories in for about a year to other people's anthologies. And as you know yourself, some have got different success, and it's quite frustrating if you're in a book and 6 months later and you're looking, it's got 3 reviews in Goodreads. I like seeing reviews, and I like seeing, you know, if my story's mentioned, if people liked it. If they don't like it, I often take that feedback, especially with the early anthologies. I would listen to what people said. The first one, the reviews were amazing, but a few people said stories were a wee bit short, so I put up the minimum word count for the next anthology. There was a wee bit of feedback in that, again, great feedback, but there was something else that, somebody said, I think the second one was Easter one, and somebody said that they didn't feel all the stories had a strong enough Easter element. So we went to the third one, it was Halloween. I'd said to people, look, if it's not a strong enough Halloween element in the story, I'll be rejecting it. So I tried to listen to what people were saying, but if nobody reviews a book, it's hard to judge a story in it. So you obviously want to get the anthologies that a lot of people are buying. But when I put my first anthology together, what it was is I quite like to read seasonal things. So coming up to Christmas, and especially for the start of December, I feel quite Christmassy. And I think, I like to watch old Christmas episodes of like Only Fools and Horses and stuff like that, and Christmas special of The Office. But I always thought I'd like to read Christmas horror, and I didn't feel there was very much Christmas horror about. So I thought, well, put an anthology together with loads of Christmas horror stories in it, and that was the idea that turned into the first book. And just luckily, I think a lot of people like myself must have been looking for something like that, and it hit #1 in the US and the UK. And I think just because of that, and it sat at #1 for ages, right past Christmas. And I think obviously because a lot of people bought it, it got a lot of reviews, which in turn helps with anything else you do. So when I done the second book, which was Easter book, obviously probably had a wee bit of audience right for the get-go for everybody that had read the Christmas anthology.
That's how you build it, isn't it?
And then I done Halloween, but Halloween wasn't as successful right off the bat, and I think it's because literally everybody releases a book for Halloween, even if it's no Halloween themed. Every horror writer and publisher releases a book for Halloween, so the market's flooded. And I thought, I'm never do a Halloween book again. But funnily enough, I'm doing a pumpkin themed book for this Halloween, so I'll go back one once again. But that's a horror
collection. Put it on the 1st of October.
The horror collection series has got 7 books currently, and the 8th book will be the pumpkin edition. But again, those books are pretty popular, so I'm wanting it being the 8th book again that people will read it that have liked the first 7. But as I say, I'm hoping to finish up these two I'm doing in 2.5, and then sort of move on to
have a break from
writing.
them. When you are sat doing your own writing, what sort of environment do you like? Do you like some music? Do you like? Do you need to have silence?
No, I need silence. I've tried that. A lot of authors post online their sort of playlists to listen to when they wrote books. Brian Smith used to do it quite a lot. He'd post his playlist to all the songs he listened to, and that are songs that were maybe mentioned in the book. And I quite liked that, but I can't concentrate. I need absolute silence, and I need to kind of done everything I need to do. See if the dishes are needing done, and I need to go and do the dishes before I go and write. Like, I need to just know everything's done, and then I can sit down and that's why I don't get the time a lot, because I'm thinking of other things that need done.
Yeah, I think sometimes I've let that happen for months or a couple of years. I've found everything else that needs to be done, and then just went, I can't write now. So
you just justify reasons to not write.
Sometimes that's the way, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, I think that is, people talk about writer's blocking. I think I always get ideas, but the block for me probably is the sitting and doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I say, I probably should squeeze more time in to do it. And I'm hoping, as I say, now that, that's, as I say, about 5 years that I've been sort of doing different things in the horror industry. And I think where I'm at now, I would like to see these days, I mentioned to you earlier, I used to always read novels. Because I read all short stories for all the books, I never pick up an anthology to read because I read short stories all the time.
Yes.
But I love novellas these days. Again, probably because my time's limited. You can pick a novella up and read it in a day or two and get the full story. I find with novels that, I maybe get to halfway and then other stuff takes me away. And then I don't enjoy it as much reading it in two parts. So I'd like to have a few more novellas out of my own. As I say, I've got some in, that are halfway. And I've got a few ideas for some other stuff that I would like to do. So as I say, I've done quite well with the anthologies. I'm quite happy with the way it's went. As I say, they've done well in the charts. And as I say, I'm not saying I would never go back to it. I could never see me really stopping doing it now. But I think even if I took a year out and done mainly writing, maybe, the horror collection books, because they're quite thin, sort of small anthologies, I could do maybe 2 of them in a year and, still spend most of that
still
year
keep
writing.
moving forward.
But that's probably what I'm looking to do going forward.
Sounds like a good plan. And some of your stories have appeared in other collections published by other firms, as you mentioned, like your early work as well. But you've appeared alongside some quite heavy hitters in horror, haven't you?
I've been quite lucky with that as well. I've ended up with a few books that have had some quite. I'm laughing because obviously, although you're sort of posting the chat, we can see each other right now, and I've got a poster behind me, and that one had Stephen King in it, Neil Gaiman, who obviously are mega stars. But I've been in books with, there's a few guys like Ramsey Campbell. I've appeared in a few books with Ramsey and things like that, and it's always nice because these are guys that you were reading back when I started reading adult horror, moving away from sort of point horror and things. I was probably about 15, and it was Richard Lehman, and I just started working through every book he had ever released, and I've probably done that in 3 or 4 years, and then I found through an old message board, an old Richard Lehman message board, asked for recommendations, and at that point, it was when people still used message boards. It was busy, and loads of people responded. And I was told the main responses that come up constantly was like Brian Keane, Ray Garton, Jack Ketchum, and Edward Lee. So I went and bought, I think, 2 books for each of the guys, and I loved the 4 of them. They were brilliant. So I started reading all their back catalogue, and now I'm in books with most of them too. The only person I've never appeared in a book with is Richard Lehman. Obviously, he's passed away a long time ago. But as I say, I've appeared in books with all the other guys that I had read 20, 30 of their books before I even started writing. So it's good. I would, I kind of lie. I would love to be able to be in a book with Richard Lehman, even if it was an anthology that came out from one of the publishers that he's been with, like Cemetery Dancer, that somebody that he worked with loads, and if they maybe release a book and put an older story in it, I would love to appear in a book that had Richard Lehman on it.
Complete the set.
It's been my time favourite author, and he's the reason that I started reading and fell in love with sort of adult horror. But I love that I'm in books with the other guys. As I say, they're still I buy anything they release guys. There's loads of newer authors that I love. But any time a book comes out by these guys, then I'm going to go and pick it up. As I say, I've I love their work.
I just want to go back a little bit. You mentioned an interest in stories with like cannibals.
Yeah.
And I remember quite a few years ago, it was Sony Bean.
So that was the first kind of anything in length that I released. That's
So
that's very hard to find these days.
have you suppressed it?
I did. Do you know? I love the Sonny Bean story, and I read years ago that Wes Craven based the first House of Eyes movie on the Sonny Bean story. Although it's set in
Right.
America in the desert, but just the cannibal clan living it in the wilderness sort of element. He had read the story. I heard it somewhere. And as I said to you, I loved the House of Eyes 1 and 2 way back in the day. And then I love the remakes or the reimaginings, whatever you want to call them. I like that kind of horror, the sort of mutant families. It doesn't need to be just, that sort of crazy family in the woods. And that's especially Edward Lee. Probably half of his books are hillbillies, rednecks, backwoods sort of guys with mutations or inbreeds or whatever. So I love all that. And when I had been writing the short stories, I'd found a website called Smashwords. So I don't know if you've been on Smashwords. There's loads of free stuff and loads of people kind of release stuff in serials and things like that. So I'd started writing 2,000 words a week for the Taylor Sonny Bean and posting it each week. And this was when I had only, as I said, had a few, maybe 3-4 stories in anthologies. Didn't really have any feedback in my work. And I thought, well, if I do a wee serial, once it gets to episode 3 or 4, I'll be able to see how many people are keeping going after the first part. So if 100 people read the first part,
good strategy.
And then it drops to 50, then it's 20, then it's 10, you're thinking, well, it's crap. Nobody's following the story. But for the small numbers it was, people were kind of going on to the next bit. So I thought, well, it's an okay wee story. But on reflection, after I started writing more, and I think the more you write, the more you pay attention when you're reading stuff, and pick up that you're writing gets a bit better. And when I looked back at the Taylor Sonny Bean, I just, I wasn't happy the way I told the story. It was just too rushed.
It's hard, isn't it? When you look back, the thing is, it's hard, isn't it? As you develop, because you're developing all the time.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I look back at now that I think, Christ, it's not that it's bad. It's just that I know how I would do it differently now. But at some point, you've just got to let go of it, haven't you, and get it out there.
I don't do it anymore. I'll be honest, I tend not to really have a look back now. I'm just too busy anyway. I'm always working. So if I've got a spare hour, I've got something to be doing in that hour. And whether it's reading submissions that have been sent to me, as I say, or formatting a document, or speaking to most of the covers I got through Michael Bray, speaking to him about getting covers sorted, inviting people to another anthology, doing a bit of writing for something that I need done. I don't have time to sit and read that often, and when I do, it tends to be a novella by another author that I really like, and I'm dying to read it kind of thing if I'm doing a bit of reading for pleasure. So I don't read old stuff. I could never see me taking any now offline the way I did with the Taylor Sonny Bean. I just felt that one was just too early. So as I say, I mean, it had been out as an audiobook and everything, and Chris Barnes had done a great job with the audiobook, so I had to go and speak to Chris to say, look, I'm not comfortable with how I've written that story. There's no issue at all with the audiobook, but I just want to remove it. I don't sort of want to have it available anymore. And we took it down. But as I say, I could never see me doing that. But you know yourself, at the very start, you tend to rush a wee bit. But you're learning. If I hadn't started out doing stuff like that, Smashwords, I'd have maybe never written anything longer or learned some of the stuff that for mistakes I made doing that book. But as I say, I don't regret doing it, but I'm glad that it's not there for other people to read.
Well, I remember enjoying it when I was giving it a proofread for you, and where I think some of the simplicity of the sort of the storytelling, I think it kind of suited it because it's a legend. You know what I mean? Those sort of legends sort of tend to be handed down by storytellers, not necessarily sculpted by authors. And so, and I kind of, that's what I took from it at the time, and I enjoyed it on the basis of it being a legend. Are there any other Scottish legends that you think you might tackle in the future?
I've done, obviously, as you probably know, I write a lot of drabbles. And for anybody that doesn't know, a drabble's a story that's exactly 100 words from beginning to end, not including the title. And obviously, I've put a few drabble books together, but I also tend to send in a a drabble or two to any other anthologies that I see that are open for them, because they don't take that long. And I'm sure I've written a few stories now about Selkies, which are basically the Scottish mermaid.
Right.
Are very similar sort of mythology to the mermaids and things like that. And I can't remember even what book that was for. But I tend to try and put wee Scottish things into books as well, because but sometimes it's just a turn of phrase that we use that's only used in Scotland.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know sometimes people might not get it, or they might get it in the context of what's happening in the book. But I just like to throw it in for me. I mean, if a book's, even if a novella is 70 or 90 pages, if it's just one wee thing, sometimes it's, watching programmes sometimes. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Still Game. It's about
Oh, yeah.
Jack and Victor, two pensioners, and all the banter that they use in it. It's like old, it's dated, but obviously they're old. And I
Yeah,
laugh
yeah.
when I hear something, because it's stuff that you used to hear people saying when you were a wee boy. You're up the road,
Yeah, yeah.
walking up the road for school, and you'd hear older men saying different things, and you'd laugh. And that's so sometimes I'll stick a wee line in a story, and as I say, it's just that whole wee nod. It's your story. You can add it, and when I do look, if I ever need to look back at something, so yourself, if you put a story in somebody else's anthology and they took the rights for a year or two, you tend to end up using it for a collection of your own, or somebody
Yeah.
contacts you and they need a story and you might not have the time and they'll take a reprint, so you look through a few of your stories, and it's the wee things like that that make me laugh, or I like, I have a wee chuckle and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember, even like I wrote a story and it was just about a kind of a fun fair, a kind of magic fun fair thing, and the haunted house in it. I just described the doors. I had watched recently, and I'd seen an advert for, remember the old Stephen King movie Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was all the trucks and everything went sort of mental, I think. If I remember right, an asteroid passed Earth or something like that, and all the machinery started working itself. The main truck in it had a big sort of green goblin face on it. And
Yeah.
I'd seen that, so I was writing the story. I made that the doors to the funhouse. So just wee things.
Yeah.
And somebody actually, again, 3 or 4 months after it came out, somebody messaged me and says, "Are they doors a wee nod to Maximum Overdrive?" So people notice stuff like that.
They got it. Yeah, yeah.
I love when I'm reading, like, again, Brian Keane. There's always wee links in all his books to his labyrinth mythology, and I like when people do wee nods to previous books of our characters and stuff like that. Ian Rob Wright
Yeah.
does it as well.
Yeah.
So I love that.
You mentioned your Drabbles, and you've published 4 collections, I think it is, so far
Yeah,
of them.
4.
I love the retro themed covers. You've mentioned your love of all things retro. So we've
I'm
got
going
like
through a nostalgic phase, I think.
nothing wrong with that.
The covers, I mean, obviously, like most series, when you start, we like anthologies, and that's different for a book. You don't think, right, this will be a trilogy, I'm going to write the book and take it on further and things. It's, it's a collection, so especially it might not do well, and you're never going to do a second book then. So Drabbles, at the time, I had ended up in a few Drabble books, and that's how I found out what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really sell as far as that. There was very few reviews, so to my knowledge, they've obviously not probably sold many copies, or there'll be loads of reviews. But I enjoyed writing them, so I thought, I'm going to go and and I thought as well, I had put a few books together, and I knew loads of authors by this point, a lot of indie authors, some sort of mid-level guys, and I'd managed to get sort of a few guys that were topping the top 10 in Amazon in America. So these guys are selling a lot, and I got a few of them in the books, and I thought, you know what, you can only, I tend to say, sort of 20 people max in an anthology if you're wanting stories of sort of 4K and above. Thought if I do a 100-word anthology, I can put everybody in it if they send me a story I like. And that was kind of the driver. I thought I could get loads of authors, loads of guys I like, and put them on a book together. And I love seeing that. You know yourself, certain anthologies come out and you look at the author list and you think, my God, it's a lot of people I read.
Like the wish list.
Aye, and I thought, well, I'm going to try. So I've done 100-word horrors, and it worked really well. And people, it seemed to sell well, got a good few reviews. People seemed to like it. So, as I say, I ended up doing a second one. But I'd done the first 2 invite only, and it was okay. But 3 and 4 I'd done as open calls. And the amount of submissions that, I mean, people that have never written in their life will throw together a 100-word story and chance it. So there was a lot of stuff that came in that you couldn't put into print. There was a lot of stuff that was good, but maybe just not to my taste. And there was a lot of stuff I loved, and that went in the book. But the sheer volume of emails that come in, and I'd said that I would accept up to 5 drabbles per author. So I'd really meant I'd read 5, and if I like 5, but what a lot of people started keeping just sending and sending and sending. So I had to then
Right.
start posting saying, look, I'm only looking, I don't want to read anymore, you know, because if I've no liked your first 5 stories, it's maybe that mean you've got a different taste in horror, or you write in a style that's not really my style. As I say, taste is a big thing when you're putting together a book. You know, as I say, I've probably picked up stories that have been rejected for other anthologies, but at the same time, I've probably rejected stories that people have went and published with somebody else. So I can only put a book together that is the book I'd want to read. That's what you're trying to do, is kind of make sure that if you found it and picked it up, that you loved every story in it. But I don't expect anybody else to ever read my anthology and love every story in it, because who's going to have identical taste? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I had a strange sort of situation. There was an anthology I put together, and there was a story in it, and I think I liked the author. Right, that was what it was. In the correspondence we had, I thought he seems like a good guy. The story's okay. There's a good story in there.
Yeah.
It needed a lot of work, and by the end of doing that work on it with him, I was a bit like, have I done the right thing here? I kind of felt like I'd made a big job for myself, and at some points I was kind of regretting it, because he was reluctant to make some of the changes, and I thought, you know, I'm just trying to help you bring the best one to the surface.
I can understand that. I think I tend to, if I read this, and obviously it was different at the start, but you learn something with every book you put together. What worked, what didn't work, what took ages and it was unnecessary, and things like that. So, I mean, if I feel a story needs quite a bit of editing, I tend to just reject it outright. I don't think, even to be honest with you, that I'm probably the right guy. Again, there's guys that have been doing this for 30 years. I put my first anthology together, I don't know, 3.5 years ago, max, and I have done well, but I think there's editors out there. As I say, I left school at 16 as well. I've not got any writing degrees or anything like that. So I think there's people that are better to sit and deconstruct a story and probably help you rewrite it. But I think, you know, I just know what I like. I think at the start I probably tried to help people edit their work, and as you say, sometimes you get a bit of pushback, because it's a bit like, well, you know, it's my story, I don't want to change that. But I kind of was thinking, well, I don't want to publish that. But I think I tried to really avoid extreme stuff at the start, which I think it could be off-putting for, if you're putting together a mixed anthology, just guaranteed people will read it that don't like extreme stories. And then I'm thinking, right, well, that's your 1-star reviews. But I'm at a stage now where, I mean, my first collection, it's got, I think, 6 or 7 stories that are relatively tame, and there's 2 stories that are really extreme. But by the time I got to putting that out, I thought, well, it's my book, you know, and if somebody reads it and they don't like the 2 extreme stories, I'll take the 1 star. I don't really care. But I tend now to just reject anything. And as I say, even if it's just a part of the story, I might make a wee suggestion and let the author go away and send it back to me and give it one reread. But that's probably about it. I think I'm always going 100 mile an hour. And I don't probably have time to sit and edit stories with people as well. As much as I love editors that do that, every publisher's doing their own thing. Like, a lot of publishers have got a kind of house of authors that publish all their novels and novellas through them. And I think when they put an anthology out, they need to have all these guys in it. And if they maybe don't love 2 or 3 of the stories by the authors, they're still going to go in the book. Some people maybe don't, but, you know, most anthologies come out, it's got every author that's with that publishing house.
It's an advertising platform, isn't it?
So I don't have any authors that work for me. I mainly just do anthologies are my own thing. So if I reject somebody for a book, it's not personal. Just that story wasn't for me. I think there's only ever really 2 or 3 people that have really lost it and gave me a bit of abuse back about no liking or picking up their story or things like that. But I mean, even a few people that have made suggestions that have said, I'm not changing that, I like that, they then maybe sent me a story for the next book. So there's obviously no hard feelings. And that's the kind of author I would want to work with anyway. I don't want to be arguing with people.
Well, the example I was thinking of there, we got the story done. And for me, I was kind of thought, you know, on this album, if you think of the anthology like an album, I kind of felt like that's just one of the filler tracks, really, for me. You know, I thought we've got it as good as it can be. I'm putting it in there because I like the guy. There's something in the story I like. I've put the work in. I've put more work in than I maybe thought I should, but I've done it now. And a few of the reviews that came out, that was the best story in the book for them.
But it's taste, as I said, it's taste.
It is, and You know, they saw more in it that they liked than maybe I did. I saw something, but they really ran with it. So you just never know, do you, what's going to be a winner?
I really don't. I've enjoyed a few, so I suppose I'm generalising a wee bit, but I really don't enjoy slow burn horror. I really struggle. And I know people say, oh, about the character development and, you know, the imagery and that's brilliant if you love that. But, you know, I struggle with it. I remember years ago I read The Hobbit, and it was one of my favourite books. I love The Hobbit. But I read the first two Lord of the Rings books, and I feel like they go on forever, much like the movies, with very little action. And it's just not for me, but I understand why other people like it. But I just start to get bored, and my mind wanders if they're 3 pages of what a tree looks like that they're walking past. I struggle with stuff like that. Really do.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
But other people love it, as I say. So if I put a book together, it's not going to have the kind of stories in it. And again, if I read a book that's filled with them, it's not going to be a book for me, but it might get great reviews. So you can't pick for everybody. You just need to pick for yourself.
Yeah, and just hope it ticks enough boxes for other people.
I've always said, see if I put a book out and nobody buys it, I'll still like that book. it'll be a book that I would have enjoyed reading, and I've read it. So that's a worst case scenario. Obviously, I want them to sell, but it's nice to know that, as I say, if you put the book together with, as I say, a group of guys that you're friends with, and you're not keen on a few of the stories, it would annoy me, and it would keep annoying me for years after it. It would bug me. So, as I say, I tend to put the book together that I like, and as I say, I've no lost many sort of friends through it.
Oh, that's nice to know. Just thinking of the drabbles, the 100-word stories, drabbles, I have never, ever been able to get away with it. I find them intimidating to even approach. So you seem to have a good handle on it. What's the secret to a good 100-word story?
You know, the drabbles are funny. They're almost a bit, again, we spoke about the wee spark idea that can just come. And the thing is about a drabble is, if you have a wee spark idea, you can sit and write the drabble there and then, you know, because it can be done in a few minutes if you've got the idea. But I think obviously I've wrote loads of them, and it probably becomes easier as you do it. But you write a wee story, and it might be 300 words, and then it's like, where can I strip this? And you're stripping it down, trying to still keep the story. And it's just a wee idea. It's like a wee short, sharp joke a lot of the time. I mean, it's very difficult to have a story and a twist. In 100 words.
In 100 words.
The best drabbles that you read, they've got a wee twist. And the thing I love about the drabble anthologies as well is, I think each one of them's only maybe got 2 or 3 mad drabbles in it. Some of the other authors, they do have 5 drabbles, but when you read through the other authors' drabbles, some of the ideas are amazing. And I love that as well, because you're like, how did they do that? Or how did they get it that short? Or how did they come up with that? Some of them have amazing wee twists in such a short thing, or some of them are really quite dark, or create some kind of emotion. And as I say, in 100 words, it's quite an achievement. And as well with with the first book, when I had went out, and I mean, there was authors like William H. Nolan in the first book, who God knows how many different things he's got out. He's been everywhere, hasn't he? He's been in hundreds of anthologies and writing for years. And I was amazed that I got him, and I'm sure it was him that said he's like, in all my years of writing, I've never really written anything that short. And it was a wee bit of a challenge, and a lot of people say that. A lot of people come back and say, listen, that was a chat, I really enjoyed it though. Or if sometimes you'll maybe reject one and they'll come back with another one, they'll go, oh, I think this is a bit better, and talk to you about it. But it's a good wee exercise for any writer to try, and it's a lot less pressure than if you write something longer, because if you write it and it's crap, you can scrap it. You've not lost anything.
You haven't
I've sat
invested
a few times,
too much.
I've seen maybe a cover to a drabble anthology and thought, I like that cover, and I maybe sit and write 3, 4, 5 drabbles and scrap them on, thinking I don't like any of them. But as I say, it might be often wee ideas pop into my head just when I'm on the brink of falling asleep. Just literally before I fall asleep, I have a wee idea, and then you need to get back up. But with a drabble, you can write it and then go back to sleep. So they're just easy things. As I say, I see them a lot more as fun. As I said, the longer the story gets, the more editing it needs. And I think that when I'm writing, I've always got it in the back of my head, I need to edit this. I hate editing. I think everybody hates editing. But I like drabbles, they're fun to read. And I put the book out as a wee sort of coffee table book. I'm sure I wrote in the first foreword that I recommended reading just a few at a time, not to sit and read it cover to cover, because I don't think they work as well. That on days where I've maybe tried to sit and read 100 of them because I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of subs sent in, I really enjoy it. So, but a few people have, you'll see different reviews if you look on Goodreads, and some people do read it cover to cover and they enjoy it. Other people do read it wee bits and bobs. But as I say, I think, a lot of people that read book 1 bought book 2, and then obviously book 3 and 4 are relatively new.
It's a good sign.
They're getting good reviews as well. But as I had said at the end of book 4, that's me done with them. I'm not saying I'll never do a Drabble book again, but that will definitely be a few years. They were starting, because I was doing the open calls, they were starting to take more time. So I'll maybe leave it a few years and then come back and do another one.
Another look at them again. You need another retro cover. So we've got, what did we get? We got
Well, the first one's a Spectrum cassette tape. Remember the ZX Spectrums? And what it was some other author, I forget who, somebody had posted a picture, and it was a few of the covers. They must have found them in a cupboard, a few Spectrum games, and they posted a picture online, and it just took me back again. Then I went and I'd just Googled and looked online at old covers, games that I'd liked playing when I was 5 or 6 or whatever. And then I spoke to Michael Bray, and at the time I don't know if it was Bray I was talking to or somebody else was talking about the game Rampage.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
I loved that game. So we decided to do a spin on Rampage, and that's why it's the monkey in the front cover. I think a lot of people think it's King Kong, if I'm honest. But see, if you see the full wrap, wrap has got the lizard and the werewolf as well. But they're on the back
Lizzie,
cover.
George and Ralph.
That's it, But they're on the back cover, so obviously you go into Amazon, you only see a front cover. It's only really if you pick a paperback up, you see a back cover. So I posted the full wrap, which looks amazing, but you lost some of that obviously when the book's out. But I love it. And then book 2, we weren't too sure, and then we sort of agreed a VHS tape. Obviously we're all about the age where we loved going to the video shop. That was, late on a Saturday night. And I mean, we used to have 2 for Tuesday, so you go and get 4 videos for the price of 2. Loved the video shop, and the horror sections were brilliant back then. And that's a big part of the love. So, and even my when I was younger, although I read Point Horror, my uncle had a wee sort of corner shop, and he just had like a wee bookcase where he used to rent videos at. So when we'd go and see my gran on a Sunday, we'd go in, I'd always get a video or 2, and it was always horror I took, even if I was really, really young. I was allowed to take 18s and watch them. So I loved horror. But we'd done the VHS one, and I was trying to think. The third one, I didn't know it today. It was Michael Bray that suggested that, I think, because I kept thinking things like LPs and they're square. Do you know what I mean? Like a record. Like, well, that's not going to work. And I think it was him that said the toy packet, and we were obviously talking about sort of nostalgic stuff. So I think that turned out really good. I like that one as well. And
I like the Kenner, but it's Kennedy.
There's always wee spins.
That was a nice touch. Yeah,
done that way. The fourth one was, I said to you earlier, I'm in a lot of the old sort of 80s and 90s toy groups on Facebook. I like to see people posting what they've found and stuff like that. And somebody had been buying a lot of Garbage Pail Kid cards, and I love the Garbage Pail Kid cards. And I think I'd seen a packet or bought a packet at Morrison's of the newer ones, but they're actually cards now rather than stickers. But I remember years ago somebody used the Garbage Pail Kids cover. I don't know if it was that Cannibal Fat Camp book. I can't remember. There's a horror book out, and the cover looks like a Garbage Pail Kids card. So I'd been looking at stickers as well. So we ended up saying, right, we'll do a sticker album. And that's, if he's getting the Panini bits, Kennedy on that as well. So there's wee bits on each of them, like wee spins, and I love stuff like that. And as I say, I love all the nostalgic stuff. I think they look great together. They've done a fantastic job. I use Michael Bray for almost everything I do, but as I say, I love the books. I think the covers look amazing. He's a lovely guy, Michael. As I say, that's a good few years now we've been working together, and as I say, the books that aren't out yet, the Best of Indie, which is that finishes taking submissions on the 25th of this month, so it's only got a few days left. But the cover's done for that, and we had spoke about sort of psychedelic stuff like 70s hippie style, tie-dye t-shirt kind of colours and stuff, and he's done an amazing cover for that as well. That's on my Facebook, so you've maybe seen it, but I love that. And then he's done the 8th book in the horror collection as well, so he's done my next few covers that aren't released yet. So, and I'd imagine he'll be doing my future covers as well.
Yeah, he's good to work with. He's dead easy to work with, isn't
I
he?
like working with Michael.
Of all the projects that you're working on at the minute, what do you think is going to be your next release?
Probably it'll split between two things. It'll either be that Best of India anthology, because as I say, I've accepted all the stories that up until this point that I'm taking. There's the book's sitting about 90k, so I mean I could publish as is, but I've invited a few other authors that I know that are going to send me stories, and it used to be when I'd done an anthology, everybody sent me a story in the last day or two, but now it's sort of getting more evenly spread, which is better for me. So that's ready to go, really. I mean, I've edited each of the stories and I've sent them to my proofreaders, and most of the proofreadings come back. So that, although I might get another few stories, which would take a wee bit, that's close to being ready anyway. The other thing is that for ages, for a while now, I've had different authors come to me and ask me did I want to publish a novella that they had, or a novel, or read it. And again, just due to time restrictions, I'd always said no. And as well, that my anthologies have always sold better than my novellas. But at the same time, when I'm sitting back and forth about it, I've not really put as much time and effort and everything into the novellas I've wrote, and co-wrote one every maybe year and released it. So there's no consistency. Whereas I've maybe got an anthology coming out every 2-3 months. So I thought, well, if I'd done a novella line and I was releasing them fairly recently, and I already know all the authors that I like, so if they come to me and say I've got a book, then I'm not going to actively go looking for novella submissions, because as I said to you, writing's probably going to be my focus. With the novella submissions, I can kind of substitute writing for pleasure, reading for pleasure. So instead of buying loads of books or reading all the books I have, I'll probably be reading other people's novellas in between. But I've accepted one for David Owen Hughes, or Owen Hughes. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I love his work. I've read all his books for the very start. He's got a new wind-up toy novella, and I've read everything in that series as well and enjoyed it. So talking to him, and he had 2 novellas that he hadn't submitted anywhere, and I said to him, well, look, what are you looking for in regards to a contract? So we spoke a bit back and forward, and we were both quite happy with the agreement we came to. So I'm going to be publishing that too, and that's really again, that won't need as much work as a full anthology, as I say. An edit and a proofreading, he went and got the front cover because he wanted it to be in sync with the covers that are other publishers, which is fair enough. And it's Kevin on Heart he uses, and again, I'm probably pronouncing that surname wrong. But anyway, he's always used the one guy for the covers, and I love the guy's covers. He also, the guy that done the cover, I was asked a while ago by publisher names right out of my head now. I put an anthology together for another publisher called Made in Britain, and he done the cover for that book as well. And
is that the one that's like a Carry On?
It is. It's like a spin on Carry On Abroad. It's like old sort of movie monsters. So he done that cover as well. So I like his work. So David Owen Hughes went and got the front cover, and Michael Bray will do the spine in the back of the cover for me, and I'll get that out. So it's either going to be that novella or the anthology. They'll probably be, no matter what comes first, they'll be relatively close together. And then after that, the 8th book in the horror collection series, which is the Pumpkin edition, and I've accepted a few of the stories for that, and there's a few authors that still to send me stories, but again, they're pretty short, they books, so they're relatively quick to put together.
Any solo projects lined up? Or
I've been working on a solo project for years now. I wrote a story called Halloween Land. It was in collected Halloween horror shorts, which was the 3rd anthology, and it was the longest thing I'd written at the time, apart from the Sonny Bean story. It was 8,000 words or 9,000 words, and it was one that got mentioned in a lot of reviews, and people were comparing it to other authors that I liked and stuff like that. And I always thought, but a lot of people said they'd have liked if it was longer. And I always thought, well, actually, do you know what? I kind of finished that story at 8K because I set the criteria for all the authors for 4K to 8K. And that one, now I tend to do no upper end. So the story can finish when they want. But in that book, it was 4K to 8K. And I kind of finished it up just because it was the story length rather than being done with the story. But I had other things to work on. But I always thought when I was reading the reviews, do you know what? I think it should be longer, and there's more to write to it. So I've added bits here and there, and keep getting distracted. But I've got the cover. Cover's done. So if I can finish the book again, it wouldn't take too long to get it sort of proofread and get it ready to get out there.
You're looking for novella sort of length for that?
Aye, but most of the novellas I've wrote have been about 22k, or I've co-wrote, I should say. With that, I can see that might end up about 30k, 35k or something. Maybe be a bit longer with some of the ideas I've kind of mapped in, but I would need to write it and see where it ends up. I'll probably cut bits of it. I wrote that book, Screechers, as I say, with Christina Berglund, and we sort of mapped out a second book and started writing it, and I got a wee bit stuck at one point, so it sat with me for a wee while. And I need to get my chapter wrote and get it back to Christina. So I'd like to get moving with that again, because we have got probably maybe the first 4/5 of the story mapped out, and then we just need to tidy up the ending.
Yeah.
And Kyle Scott, who was in your show a wee while ago, I like Kyle's work, and I've spoke to him on and off for a while now, and we had kind of decided to write a novella together. And we got started with it, and it was flying. We were doing like 1,000 words and sort of bounced it back and forward.
Yeah.
It's gone really quick. And then my father got really no well, and I just sort of stopped writing, and we were down the hospital, and then he passed away. And then I've never got back to writing yet. So as I say, Kyle's really waiting on me with that one. Christina's waiting on me, unfortunately, as well. So I'm kind of holding everything up, Jack, to be honest with you.
I think everybody can understand that one, mate. I don't think nobody's going to be knocking on the door.
Nobody's pressuring me, as I say. Everybody's been great. But I would like to get back to them myself, and I would like to see them out. I'm still. We spoke about with short stories, writing an idea down, and then kind of losing the passion when you went back and looked at your notes. But because these are started and mapped out, I'm still quite passionate about them. Like, I've not finished the stories yet, if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to returning to all of them. I think taking a break was probably a good idea anyway, rather than just forcing it 1,000 words here and there to keep them moving. Would have probably been the wrong thing to do. I think that going back to it when you're kind of fresh look at it and everything, they'll probably come out as more solid books. And I want them to be a lot of fun. And obviously, when you're not in a great place, you're not really writing fun stories. You write dark stuff sometimes.
That's it. I think once you're ready, man, you get back on the phone with them, and you'll get the momentum going again. Because I know Kyle was saying him working with you, he said it was making him more productive, because like he couldn't just sit on it. He was like, I've got to get my bit done and send it back to Kevin,
guilty. You feel guilty letting somebody down. So as I say, they've really been good that they've not given me any sort of hassle or pressure. But as I say, we'll definitely, I would like to think that they'll all be finished this year. We've got 6 months of the year left. As I say, as I start to wrap up the anthologies that have took up a bit of time, I've got more free time myself, as I say, and that's definitely the plan, is to write more. I've also got my third collection half done, so I decided, much like a lot of people do, to do an 80s head of horror. And where I had loads of stories sitting that either the rights had come back to me, or I had written them and I'd never subbed them anywhere, because I wrote the story where it came into my head rather than for a theme I had seen.
For a theme, yeah.
So I hadn't looked yet for who was taking sort of stories that it would fit, and I had 13 stories that I liked. So I thought it was quite a lot, but some of them are quite short. And as I said, I tend to go 4Ks round about the shortest these days. But I thought, you know what, I could do an 80s head of horror, have some short, have some long. I've even got the section D, it's D for Drabble, and it's got 10 Drabbles rather than a story.
Right.
Just things like that, because I like Drabbles. So I thought it'll be fun, and I can write loads of different stories. I like different types. I like bizarro horror, which isn't everybody's cup of tea. But Bizarro is probably one of my favourite subgenres. I love Carrot and Melick, and I've now started to find indie authors that I absolutely love their work. So in my last 2 anthologies, there have been stories by Douglas Hackle, his writing's brilliant. I'm always worried that I pronounce people's names wrong, so sorry for anybody if I said your name wrong. And there's another guy that I've just discovered, quite a young lad called, I think it's Zoltan Kumar, his name is.
Right,
I've just accepted a second story by him, and I mean the stories are mental, really crazy. I don't know if you've read a lot of Bizarro. And I love it.
Not really, no.
Oh, you need to try, Jack. Go and buy yourself a Carrot and Melick book or two. He's a genius. But,
I think Duncan Bradshaw, he's leaning towards more bizarro stuff.
I seen you mention that. Duncan's just one of the authors. You know yourself, there's that many authors. I've never got around to reading Duncan's work, and he pops up a lot, but there's that many authors that pop up a lot that I've still not managed to read. And about a year ago, I started becoming really strict with buying new books because, as I said to you, I've got more books. I've probably got about 700 books in my Kindle that I want to read. You know, I probably had about 300 paperbacks I want to read, and I'll never get through them all. I actually started about 2 months ago. I've started selling a lot of my books.
I saw that, auctioning them off.
We don't have the space in the house. The house is absolutely covered in books, and my wife doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. So, and I'm sitting looking at them, and I always seen myself as a kind of guy that would have had a library. I could have seen me having the spare room as a library, but it's never going to happen. So there's no point in keeping them piled. The bookcases, you can't stack any more on top of the bookcases, so they're now starting to get piled on the floor in various rooms, and it's a bit ridiculous. So I thought, I'll just keep selling them, and if I buy books, I'll just need to sell other books, and I need to manage it, Jack. It's a problem.
Before you end up getting kicked out and need to build a house out of books to live in at the end of the garden.
One of my favourite programmes, I don't know if you watch it, American Pickers. And these guys go to people's properties and barns, and some of them have got like 8 and 9 and 10 outhouses and sheds, and it's people that have collected everything for 60 years, and they've got stuff all the property is rusted, and they struggle to part with this stuff. Then you see these American Pickers going in and giving them 500 quid for a rusted piece of junk, and then they'll sell it for 750, and you think it's amazing. So I love watching stuff like that, or Salvage Hunters with Drew Pritchard. I don't know if you've seen that, set in Wales. I love all this stuff, and I kind of am like that with books. I think, well, I've bought them on, they'll sell them. Let's see if I make a wee bit of money, I'll go and buy more.
Flip them up.
That's it.
Well, I think, once the projects that you were describing that you've got in the pipeline, I hope that you'll, give me a shout close up at the time, and we'll get you on again. You can come and talk about those projects, and hopefully we can steer some people towards them for you,
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
Speaking of which, where would be the best place for, if there's anyone listening to this who really wants to give some of your work a shot and they haven't encountered you yet, where would be the best place for them to start?
Amazon. Book-wise, everything I've got's on Amazon. I tend to keep it on there. I've not got it in any other platforms like some authors do. I think if it was for sort of my solo work, I would start with Dark Thoughts, my first collection. It's got a good mixture in there of some of my kind of the tamer horror, funny sort of stuff that I like. And it's got 2 really quite extreme stories as well, if you like sort of all ends of the horror spectrum. It's a good wee mixture of my work. If you're looking for an anthology, as I say, the Drabble ones are quick reads to pick up. They seem to be popular. But if you like a longer story, you don't like things too short, the Drabbles certainly won't be for you. I would say try the horror collection. Those books are unthemed, so anthology-wise, you get a really good mixture, and you'll get to see my sort of tastes in horror as well, and see if it suits you, if it's something you're going to enjoy reading. I think with the seasonal ones, they're for a time of year. If you read the Christmas book, you read it at Christmas sort of thing, So the horror collection is a good place to get a bit of a mix. Basically, the horror collection is a guilty pleasure. That is a collection of books where I just get to publish stories by all my favourite authors, and it's that simple. I go and ask people if they're free, if they've got a bit of free time to write me a story, and it's unthemed, and I need it to be over 4K. And if they write me a story and I like it, it goes in the book. So there's no rhyme or reason other than I like that story.
Just enjoyment.
Because it's invite only, it's guys that I know I like before they even send me the story. And that takes a lot of the work out. There's a much higher chance you're going to like their next story. Whereas with an open call, it's a mixed bag.
Which was the first colour? Because they're all colour-coded, aren't they?
It was golden. I done that as well, Jack. I'll tell you, the reason I done that was I sometimes find, see if I see a book and everybody's raving about it, but it's book 4, even in an anthology series, so you don't really need to read them in order. But see if it's book 4, I'll either go back and read book 1 and read through, or I'll just ignore it completely because it's book 4 and I don't want to jump in at book 4. And it might just be me, but I thought I don't want to number them. And that was the whole reason they became coloured. So you've got gold, I think it was gold, black, purple, silver, white, pink, emerald, I think it's the order. But you could read them in any order, as I say.
I've never thought of it that way. That's such a brilliant way to market it, and use the colours instead of the
There's no numbers, and there would be no reason for them to be numbered other than to show they were a series. But I think that, they've all got the same side on them, so see if they're sitting on the shelf, they look cracking, all the different colours. And as I say, I'm starting to really like the bright colours, because I think sometimes on Instagram, people always post pictures of the last 5 or 6 books they bought, or the next 5 or 6 books they're going to read, and 85% of horror books are a black cover. Far too many of them with red writing on it. So that, you know, and that's what you're saying. And if you've got one of my books sitting there, you've got a bright pink book sitting in amongst them. It stands out. Same with the Emerald one. And I just love them. They make me happy. I smile when I see them in myself. So I'm going to probably do a few more bright colours.
I tell you what, they look good when they're on those Amazon screenshots. And they're
like
all the row in the bestsellers.
I know, and do you know what? They've been slapping. I've not done any promotion for about a month, again, because you're the stuff with my dad and that. I've only really started to post the odd wee thing here and there. And they've had a wee dip just probably because of that. But normally, you know, you've got 7 of them in the top 50, in the UK at least, and it's brilliant. But I'd love to see them number 27. I'll maybe need to do a wee price drop to 99 pence for them all and see if that gives them a wee bump up the charts.
Where can the listeners find you on social media, mate?
Facebook's the main place. I've got my own Facebook page, which I'm happy for people to add me on. I've got the Facebook author profiles, but I feel that these days Facebook's just try to constantly charge you money to promote on it. So I don't use it as much because I don't think many people get to see what you post there. And I've got a publisher page now just because there's a bit of a split. Like, you know, I'm in a lot of other anthologies that I might post in my page, but my publisher page is just for stuff that I've published myself, kind of thing. So Facebook's the main place you'll find me. I've got Twitter and I'm on Instagram as well.
Yeah, I'll get all the links for that up on the show notes for you.
Brilliant.
Thanks for coming on, Kevin. It's been really interesting chatting with you. I think you've been really open, and I think, you know, both readers and creatives are going to find loads in this episode that they can kind of do something with, you know, and be inspired by. So thanks for sharing so openly.
Thanks for having me on,
taking the time. No, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
It.
And we'll hopefully get you on again in the near future.
I'll look forward to it.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Fiendish Minds. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow the link below for today's show notes where you can find reading lists and more information about today's guests. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.